it seems like Les Wrong's approach was more kind of influenced by Daniel Kahneman and his research and his book Think It Fast and Slow. And then the juxtaposition to that is like Gary Klein's stuff with like sources of power. And that's like the intuitive, like there's more the intuitive piece of like how we know things intuitively. So I feel like that's the difference there.
Yep. Gary Klein is actually one of the founders of naturalistic decision making, right? So all his work is funded by the US military, and it lives outside, I think a lot of it's changing now, but a lot of it lives outside of traditional academia. It should be in psychology departments, but it's mostly being funded by the military, by industrial applications, because they want things that work. And that's great, right? But it does mean that it's light on theory and it's light on data. It's very ethnographical in its approach, very anthropological, right? And so it's effective. But because it doesn't deal with data, it doesn't deal with randomized controlled trials. It has difficulty being accepted by the whole crowd that adores Danny Kahneman, all these psychology departments of prestigious universities, right? So Gary Klein has, I think, the key insight of Gary Klein. Oh, sorry, yeah, is that one of the Gary Klein looks at people operating in the real world and asks, how can we go with the grain of the human mind? And Daniel Kahneman does lots of little experiments, right, in classroom settings, right? And then the question that he's trying to answer is like, how do we get them to perform well rationally on tests of rationality? So that's the sort of the dichotomy that I see between the two. And in many cases, I think there's a lot to be said for Gary Klein's approach, and more people should read Gary Klein's approach and think seriously about how to apply that to their lives. The Les Wrong approach is great if you're doing forecasting, if you're doing intelligence analysis. Like intelligence analysis, you work for the CIA, which is basically Shane Parrish's background. He worked for a three-letter agency, I think, in Canada. And that approach, and investing as well, but in domains where you can take action to generate information, very often the optimal move is actually to take action, and that will generate far more information that will allow you to make better decisions, as opposed to just sitting around and analyzing the heck out of a situation.